Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly, and I'm the Study Abroad Program Coordinator. And today is thank you for joining us, Gilman Info session today. Joining us today, we have the Dean of GLPS, Mr. Zed Gorey. We have the Director of a Special Program, International Program, Dr. Alice Yan. We have Financial Aid Director, Ari. And we have special guest, Philip. He is two-time Gilman recipient. He went to study abroad. And we also have our special helper, Aiden. He is our student assistant. He went to study abroad in Florence. So today we will first go over the Gilman info session. We will have Phil talk about his experience applying for Gilman and his study abroad experience. After that, Dr. Alice Yang will present the Gilman info session, and I will co-present the info session. Our financial aid director, Ari, will talk about financial aid at Skyline College. Finally, we'll have a Q&A session. You feel free to enter your questions during the presentation, enter in chat. We will try our best to answer your questions. And this meeting continue after this info session. We'll have workshop presented by the Learning Center at Skyline College. Mr. Zhang Chu, he will join us at 3:50. So let's get started. I will share a screen of the presentation. Actually, Phil, you want to get started first? Talk about your experience about study abroad. Phil he made a special arrangement to be here today with us. Thank you, Phil, for being here.
You're very welcome. I'm very happy to be with you, and thanks for having me with you guys. This memorable experience is just, I cannot stop thinking about it, and I wish I can do it again and again. And I was very fortunate to gain the Gilman Scholarship twice, one right after the pandemic and for the summer 2020, and we end up doing it virtually. And I had I was part of a group that we did it for a company in Japan. And just last summer, last July, my second Gilman Scholarship that I went to Barcelona, Spain. It physically was there. It was also a memorable experience. And I had the most wonderful time in everything, networking with new people, getting to know the Spanish culture, and getting it made me like 20 years younger or even more. Just being with the active, smart students, something that was really sharp in my mind. And I'm still, right now, I just finished a class and I'm in class. And so I'm just excited to be here. And what I remember about the scholarships, even though it was a hard work, and I appreciate the assistance I got for the SA, it was worth every minute of it. It was challenging and financially, but I managed to get assistance beside the scholarship from Skyline College, from a little bit of savings and adaptation. I didn't want to hey, just go on shopping was my favorite, but I enjoyed, the Spanish food and not spending much on shopping. So it was manageable. And once I put things in perspective, I think I gained so much out of both scholarships.
Thank you so much, Phil, for telling us about your experience. I know you had amazing study abroad experience because I've heard your stories before, and you did an interview with us. And thank you for taking the time to be here to talk to other students about your experience today. And I'll see you again in February in our next session in person at Skyline College.
I look forward to it.
I know you have an appointment. Feel free to leave after this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next, I will share
you.
my screen with the Gilman presentation. Alice, feel free to get started. Let me know if you want to change a slide.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Phil. Thank you so much. So nice to see you again. And
You're very welcome.
Thank you for your continued support for our students, for our programs. We really appreciate it. Okay, so today our focus is a Gilman Scholarship, but we also have a few other scholarships that we want to share with you. Okay, next slide. I think we already talked about that. So this is the agenda. And, and my name is Alice Yang. I'm the acting director of Special International Programs. So Kelly and we have a few study abroad ambassadors. We are here as a team to offer study abroad services for all the 3 colleges of SMCCD, including Skyline College, Cañada College, and the College of San Mateo. This office, we offer different kinds of programs, including semester programs. We have 3, one in London, one in Barcelona, one in Florence. And then in summer 2024, we will offer 4 summer faculty-led programs. And then internship will offer 9 sites in the 2024 summer. In addition to that, we also have transfer abroad programs and community travel programs. And that's an opportunity for community people who want to have the experience, but without taking a course. So what is study abroad? Why we want to study abroad? So this is a very nice image and a way to express it. It is empowerment. We empower ourselves through study abroad. Education moves people out with enthusiasm, respect, motivation, encouragement, networking, and transformation. So that is the experience we want to have. And I'm so glad that you plan to study abroad to have the experience for your personal growth and for your future career development. And we are here to support you. Okay, next slide. So it's important to know, right, the purpose of the study abroad, the benefits of the study abroad, and even more important, after the experience, how can we articulate the benefits of a study abroad? So we hope that through the experience, you can improve your language skills, learn different cultures, and more important, the skills that you learned that will be helpful for your future career development. Okay, next slide. So I want to share some information with you about our community college district's Gilman experience. And the Gilman Scholarship is a government efforts. It's named after the late Congressman Benjamin Gilman. And it's an initiative that started in 2001 to support students who have need, to study abroad. So it emphasized diversity in study abroad. And there are different selection criteria that we'll share soon. So for San Mateo Community College District, we are 2-year community college and also offer services to students from diverse background. So 80% of our students are students of color. And we encourage many students to apply for the Gilman Scholarship. So in the past, 50% of our applicants received the scholarship, which is much higher than the average national acceptance rate, which is usually 20 to 30%. So the scholarship program, the Gilman program offers 2,000 to 3,000 scholarships each year. So there's great chance for students to receive the scholarship. And we are very proud that in the past years, some years, we are the #1, top producing Gilman Scholar institution in the state, California state, and also in the whole country. So for this upcoming deadline, March 2024, March 7th, these following programs are qualified. So if you plan to apply for the London program in the fall, the summer programs, and all the internship programs, and even the transfer abroad program, you should apply by March 7th, and will help you to improve your essays. Okay, next one. The student can receive up to $5,000 for the semester program or short-term programs. And there is no length limitation for that. If you are selected, so that's if you are the winner of the program. So what's the benefits as a Gilman Scholar? You will be a Gilman Scholar for your whole life. And there is a Gilman Scholar network. And the program offers a lot of services, even after your study abroad experience, networking, your future career development. And the first one, non-competitive eligibility. So that's very important. If you're interested in the federal job, the government jobs, then you do not need to compete with the public. So you can be appointed without competition with the public. So that's a great benefit. And you will receive all these benefits for your whole life. Okay, next one. So who can apply for this program? You have to be a US citizen. Some scholarship, they don't require that. You know, even green card holders can apply. But for this one, you have to be a US citizen, undergraduate, you have to be a Pell Grant recipient. So that's why we work with the financial aid office, try to contact students who are qualified to apply for this. If you're not sure whether you have Pell Grant or not, contact your financial aid office. Or if you don't have a FAFSA account now, so you should work on that if you're qualified, and then see whether you can be a Pell Grant recipient, even like in the fall semester when you study abroad. So you can still, if you are recipient in the fall semester, not now, you are still qualified to apply for the scholarship. So study abroad program, it has to have like a unit or credit bearing. So you have to take course. And for the safety, the destination needs to be travel advisory level 1 of level 2. So that's the information offered by the State Department, assess the risk of the country you travel to. Okay. So this is a new category, Gilman McCain, named after Senator McCain, who passed away. And it's also about $5,000 that you can, if you are a child or spouse of active duty service members. So if students are qualified in this category, then we'll continue to support. But the other qualification is the same. Eligibility is the same as the other one. Okay, next. So as I said, Gilman really support diversity in study abroad. So all this like criteria in the application form, they might not ask related questions, to your identity. But in the essays, you have to complete 3 essays. You can self-disclose whatever is related to diversity. First gen, ethnic background. What kind of community college you should share that, and then the institution, students with disability, gender, veterans. So this all will be helpful for you to get the scholarship. So we always encourage students, whatever diversity factor, you can self-disclose in your essays. Then you are more likely to get the scholarship. Okay. So we will talk about the application procedure, so the steps. Now I will invite Kelly to share more with you, but feel free to enter questions you will have in the in the chat box. We'll continue to answer the questions you have. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alice, for the introduction of Gilman. Next, we'll talk about application procedures. So for students, you will station, Aidan already put the Gilman website in the chat. So feel free after this, we can explore more. You will, in your application, you will input which study abroad program you will be participating, and of course your essays, upload your unofficial transcript, select advisors. The advisors is for each college, CSM, Kenyatta College, and Skyline College. It's based on your home campus. If your home campus is Skyline, then you select Skyline. If your home campus is CSM, you select CSM. So after you submit your application, then we, the advisors, will review, and also financial aid advisors will certify your application. Then after the certification, the Gilman panel will start review your applications and make decision. So next, there are 3 essays. So we will talk about this essay detail in the workshop. So I'll just briefly go over as here's essay number 1. Requirement max character is 7,000 characters. So you always write your draft in a Word document or your Google Docs. And then when you're ready to submit your application, upload your Word document in to your application. So this is about personal interview. Here are some questions you ask yourself before you start writing the essay. Like, how do you make a connection between your program and your personal goals? Why do you select this program? What are your goals? And then how do you make a connection between your country and goals? Like you're from United States. Why do you select, for example, if you're going to Thailand or Vietnam, that summer internship, summer study abroadship? Why do you choose that country? What do you hope to learn from that country? And what do you hope to gain? And then what can you bring back, right? So share how you will academically successful on your program, your strategies, because the study abroad can be a lot. So what are your strategy while you are in a foreign country? How do you be successfully taking the classes at the same time? So next, give some example of your experience, skills, and knowledge you will use to meet program challenges. There are a lot of challenges when you study abroad. So maybe list some of your personal challenges and your examples on how you could overcome those challenges. So, and finally, talk about how this study abroad experience will impact your future. Many students say the study abroad experience changed their life. Think about how the study abroad experience will change it in your life. In what way? Give some concrete examples. So essay number 2 is community impact. It's about you, if Gilman sponsored you with this scholarship, you had this scholarship, you went to study abroad, how would you bring back? How would you give back after you had the experience? So these are the questions you could ask yourself. Articulate how you represent U.S. as U.S. citizen or diplomat. You're going abroad, like you are in another country, for example, you are in Ghana, you are representing U.S. citizen in Ghana. How will you do that? And then next, how you will contribute to the goal of building mutual understanding and then cultural engagement. So we will talk the detail in our essay workshop. Finally, essay number 3, community impact. So all this essays building on top of the first 2, like it's continuous, right? So these are the things you could ask yourself, like how do you increase awareness of Gilman Scholarship? Because not everybody know about Gilman Scholarship. So how would you promote Gilman Scholarship personally? Would you tell your friends, your families, or go beyond that? Go tell your communities. If you have brothers, sisters, or nieces and nephews in K through 12, tell them about it, right? So they know in the future when they in college they could have this resource. So all these things, I won't go into detail of each one. Again, we will go through this in our essay workshop. Here are some examples of a follow-on service project because you have to do a follow-on service project. I talk about K through 12, and you can do academic department outreach and campus office outreach, study abroad outreach, learning community outreach, student organization outreach. Like student organizations on each campus, CSM, Kenyatta, and Skyline, we have a lot of student organizations. Maybe you could do a presentation in during their meeting or connect with each student organization president, ask them how that you could reach to their members. So selection criterias. This is how the Gilman panelists, when they review the application, what do they look for? So they would look for impact of the program and destination on your academic and career goal and everything, and how your community impact abroad and upon your return home, and academic how are you prepared academically? And also very important is your diversity diversity of background and experience. So don't shy to talk about your background. If you have a unique background, you have unique experience, don't shy about it. It's they want to see the diversity. For example, if I'm coming from a low income family, I'm an immigrant, and I would talk about it how I was brought up, how I was lack of resources when I was younger, and how would this opportunity, Gilman Scholarship, would enable me to study abroad? How would this study abroad change my future? Maybe I have never even stepped out of US. I'm in the Bay Area my whole life. This study abroad experience would like literally open my eyes to see another country, how other people live their life. I could bring back the experience for my future career, and I would bring this to. You could write on and on about your background, your unique background, your unique experience in your essays. These are the critical need language and the STEM field. These are two different applications, so we will be only focused on this four right now. So here are the keywords the panelists are looking for. Your diversity, your background, your life, your family, and how would you empower others? Or how would this program empower you? How you can become a leader or things like that, and your passion and the program impact on you, and your academic career and goals and community engagement. How would you face the challenge? How there are so many challenges even before you go to study abroad. For example, financial challenge, academic challenge. Some students have learning challenge. How would you overcome those challenges? Find ways, concrete examples. How would you make a difference when you study abroad? How would you volunteer after you come back from your study abroad trip? And maybe do an internship or do some research project for your different classes. So tips for writing competitive essay, we talked about a lot. Of course, proofread your essay. It's like just your English, any English class essay, you always proofread. And then seek for help. You could ask for help. You can ask our help, like Alice, and you can schedule an appointment with us. After this info session, you will receive one email from me with contact information. We also have a calendar. You can schedule advising appointment with us. Another way is is a learning center. So John Chu, Mr. Chu will join us later, and we'll talk about how you could schedule an appointment with learning center to go through your essays. So yeah, check your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Those are very important. This is the punctuation and grammar is very important as we nowadays we do so many text messages on phone or social media. On those platforms, we don't care about the punctuation grammars. But when you do your essay for a scholarship, it is very, very important. Make sure you don't make those mistakes. So, talk about the workshop. We offer two workshops. One is right after this info session at 4 o'clock. Another one is in person at Skyline College on February 5th, 2024. I believe you all have the information. I've emailed you. I will email you again after this info session in case you want to join us again on February 5th. We'll serve lunch. Make sure you RSVP for that event. So deadlines and timelines. So for this round of Gilman application, the application just opened up last week. And then deadline is March 7 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. This is very important. Mark that on your calendar. But I would strongly suggest you submit your application a few days before this deadline, because on the deadline, some people, a lot of people might go on the same day. The website might crash. A lot of things might happen. So always prepare ahead time. Do it early, submit early. So after you submit your application before March 7, then the advisors 3 colleges advisors at the financial aid advisors will make sure to certify your application by March 14. Then after that, Gilman panelists will review all the application and make decision. So application tips, we talked about that. These are our upcoming study abroad programs. We have so many exciting programs, including for 2024 semester abroad in London. The application is open. I actually have received, we just opened last week. I already received 4 applications with paid deposit. So it's very popular. If you're considering it, I would strongly suggest you to submit your application early because we do have a maximum capacity for this program. And then we have summer global internship. We have 9 different locations, including Berlin, Vancouver, Dublin, Ireland, Lisbon, Portugal, Madrid, Spain, Madrid, Singapore. We also have Japan. And if you don't want to leave the country, you can do San Francisco Bay Area. There are so many bustling industries in Bay Area, like computer science, and very popular. And next one, we have summer short-term factory-led program. We have art in Barcelona and the intercultural communication in Asia. This one is 2 weeks. Art in Barcelona is 1 month. The Philippine program and Ghana program. So the applications are open for art in Barcelona and Thailand and Vietnam. The Philippines and Ghana will come up soon. The Ghana, actually, the website will be just opened up today. So I will send you the information after this. Next, don't forget, this is very important. Transfer abroad to Rennes School of France. This one's in France. This is for business major. If you're majoring in business, after you receive your associate degree from Skyline, CSM, or Canada, then you can, instead of transfer to CSU or UC, you can transfer.
Natalie, you're muted.
Oh, yes, the Zoom kicked me out. So let me reshare my screen. I'm glad the recording's still on. So yes, the Ren School of Business. You have questions? Talk to us about it. So Gilman Scholarship for application. Yes, create a compelling story that ties your past, present, and future to highlight the big impact of scholarship will have on you. Yes, start the application early. You are early. I'm so happy you're here today. Today is January 25th. The application deadline is March 7th. So you are early. I'm happy you're here. You are here to succeed because you are early. So let's get started with your application right after this. For follow-on project, we can talk more during our essay workshop about this. So this is a Gilman social media. Follows Gilman social media. Maybe you can find more information, find other students who have received the Gilman to hear their stories. Take advantage of available resources for your study abroad program, such as financial aid, scholarship, save money, talk to your family and friends, and maybe do a project like a sales, create a special project to sell something, like help get an extra job before your study abroad trip. So other scholarship, we have for the global internship program, we have our office is offering 5 $1,000 scholarship. If you are interested in a global internship, make sure to apply for this scholarship. And if you're interested in London semester abroad in fall 2024, make sure you submit application for AIFS scholarship. It awards up to $1,000. Next one is Fund for Education Abroad. It awards up to $5,000. The deadline is February 7th. It's coming up soon. So, by the way, all the essays you're writing for the Gilman Scholarship, you can reuse for other scholarship because you'll be writing similar things, maybe make a few tweaks, and you can reuse them. So this is our contact information, Alice and I. You have questions, feel free to ask us, email us, call us. And we'll open up for questions right now. Feel free to unmute yourself and to ask questions.
Megan asked a question in the chat about how acceptance works, and I can let her talk about that if she wants. But yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, Kelly, I was present for the initial info meeting a couple days ago, and I know you had mentioned there were already quite a few applicants for the Barcelona program and with paid deposits. So I was just wondering how acceptance works, if we're still like applying for scholarships and things like that, if acceptance into the program is a first come, first served basis.
Acceptance to the program is a first come, first served basis. How do you secure your spot is by putting down the deposit. I know some students have already started their application for the program you mentioned, Art in Barcelona, but they have not paid the deposit. So that would not secure their spot. The deposit is $450. There's a timeline for refund. So make sure you do that if you are interested in that program. I believe I have email communication with you, right?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So yeah, drop me an email. I will talk to you.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Megan, we want to share with you that this is a very popular program. Almost 30 people have applied, and then more than 20 have paid deposit. So if you are serious about this program, I really suggest you to apply as early as possible. So after 25, we'll put people on the waiting list because the program size cannot be too large. Okay.
Thank you.
I just put the website in the chat. So if other people don't know about this program, feel free to explore. So how popular is Ireland program? Are you Michelle, are you talking about the internship program? So for
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, is the internship program?
Yes.
So internship program, we still have spots left, so you don't have to worry about too much. Still, I strongly encourage you to apply soon, and because it takes time for the third party to place you into a company because their interview process. We have to interview you, and then the third party provider will have to interview you after you make placement. The company will have to interview you. So it's a lengthy process. And the program application is quite long as well. So explore the application and that because you have to write a few short essays for I put in the chat right now. So feel free to get started the application and then contact Alice or I if you have questions.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Michelle, that's really a good choice. Yeah, Dublin in Ireland, a very nice place. This is a new site we offer, so we hope you can be the first one to to apply for the internship. Yeah. So don't worry about the number of applicants. It's quite open, so we want more students to participate. Thank you.
Feel free to ask questions. We're here to answer. Okay. Oh, well, next we will have Megan, you have another question?
Yeah, Kelly, thanks. I just have a follow-up question. So if we were to put down the deposit, submit our application and submit the deposit, should we, let's say scholarships and things actually don't work out and the trip is not feasible, is there a refund period for the deposit to make that decision?
Here, I just put the refund policy in the chat. You can read.
Thank you.
So we actually will have Ari, a financial aid director at Skyline College, tell us more about financial aid. What are your options to use financial aid for your study abroad program? Thank you, Ari. We'll answer more questions after.
Yeah, Kelly, so that restore policy might be for the Uganda program for this one. But you are talking about the Barcelona, right? So
This is a Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Thank you, Kelly. Kelly, am I able to share screen?
Yes, you're a co-host.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, you just let me know if you are able to see my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me just now do presentation view. Can you still see that? Yes, okay. All right, so my name is Ari Soler and I am the Director of Financial Aid at Skyline College. So thank you, Kelly and Alice, for inviting me today. So I'm just going to do a very quick overview of what is financial aid and how can you apply as a student. So financial aid essentially is there to help students cover the cost of college. So if you're doing the study abroad program, that is a cost to you as a student. So you can use your financial aid to cover that cost. Now, what types of financial aid can students receive? So we have essentially 3 different types of financial aid. One is gift aid, and that's the first type of aid that in financial aid we make available to students. And the reason why is it's pretty much in the name, gift aid. Students don't have to pay that back. And when Alice and Kelly were talking about that Pell Grant, a Pell Grant is gift aid. So anything that's a grant, a student is entitled to receive. We also have work study. So students are placed on or off campus employment to be able to cover some of their cost of their education. And this comes in form of a paycheck, just like if you were working anywhere else. We would go ahead and pay you for hours that you're earning in your workplace. And so we have different positions like within the financial aid office and admissions and records in different departments within the college. And we're also expanding that to outside community centers as well, like the San Bruno Library. Additionally, we also have loans. We see this a lot with our study abroad students that sometimes they do have to take out loans. And the difference between loans and gift aid is that loans do have to be repaid back. And so if that is something that you're interested in doing, we do have two different types of loans. We have subsidized and unsubsidized. Both of them come from the Department of Education. However, the subsidized is the interest does not start accruing on that loan until you actually graduate or you drop below 6 units. And the unsubsidized, the interest accrues the minute you receive the funds. So in financial aid, we process the subsidized loan first to make sure that that's available to the student beforehand. And then if they want to receive any additional loans, then it's unsubsidized. And please put any questions you have in the chat. And once I'm done presenting, I can answer your questions. Now, what do you have to do to see if you qualify for financial aid? So the first thing you have to do is apply. So there is one application. It's the federal application. It's the FAFSA. And you would go ahead and apply. You would make sure to include, I listed right here on the right-hand side, 3 federal codes. Now, every school is attached with the federal code. And when a student inputs that code in their FAFSA application, the results get sent to that school. And so we encourage students within our district to list all 3 colleges, because the way that, depending on how many units you're taking at one of our schools, that's the school that's going to pay you. So to be able to expedite your financial aid, we say list all schools so we all have access to your application. Once you submit that application, it takes about 1 to 2 weeks for us to submit it in our system. And then we get the results from the Department of Education. They're the ones who do that initial processing of your application. Then it gets sent to us, the financial aid office, to say, hey, the student might need to submit additional documentation to verify the information they provided on the application. So we encourage students to, as soon as you apply, check with us just to make sure we see it, and we can check the federal system to make sure it got submitted accurately. And then within a week or 2, we get it in our system. That's a good time to check with us as well. And if you do have additional documents that you need to submit, we'll send you an email. We also post it to your WebSmart so you can submit the items electronically. Once those items are submitted, it takes a few weeks to process. So again, back to what Kelly and Alice were saying, everything, if you do it earlier, it gives us time to be able to process, and it kind of gives you time to also plan for the study abroad program. So we make sure we're trying to get everything done as quickly as possible so you can make plans on how to pay that expense. Check with us, if you have any questions on any of the items that we're asking you to submit after you apply. We're here to support you. So any questions you have, shoot us an email, stop by the office. We do have application workshops weekly, so this is specific for Skyline. The other 2 colleges also have assistance around the application. We have virtual and in-person workshop applications. They're scheduled on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will drop the link to our workshops in the chat in a bit so you can have access to, what those times. I'm showing it here if you want to take a picture as well. And we can also do one-on-one if that's needed. Yeah, but we're here to support to make sure that you're able to submit your application. Here is some of our contact information for the financial aid office and our hours. We also have a chatbot feature on our website that you are welcome to go ahead and pose your questions there, and the chatbot will answer them. If the chatbot's not able to answer it, it will turn into an email to us, and we will get back to you in any questions that you have. And that's it.
Thank you, Ari.
No problem.
My other thing, Zoom just kicked me out again. Zoom doesn't like me today. We're open up for more questions. I think there's a question in the chat asked about, is the interest rate on the subsidized loans the same as the FAFSA loans?
Yeah, so the subsidized and unsubsidized loan have the same interest rate, and because they're from the Department of Education, it's the lowest loans or the lowest interest that you will find as a student. And so we always start with the federal loans first, but you do have to complete the FAFSA application. That's a key takeaway from my presentation is do the application, and from there we'll go ahead and assess what you qualify for. We'll do all the gift aid first and then see what you still owe. Then we can start dipping into the loans. We do process private loans within our district. However, you still need to be able to, we still need to assess all the other aid first before we start tapping into, hey, is a private loan something that you need as well? The interest loans on those are much higher than the Department of Education's loans.
Thank you, Ari.
No
Does
problem.
anybody have other questions about financial aid?
Hey, Ari, can you explain the difference between semester programs and the short-term summer programs? The support from your office.
Yeah, so because of the way that the summer study abroad program is set up and it overlaps within 2 of our payment periods, so that's a financial aid term, we are unable to provide financial aid for the summer programs. However, the full-length programs that are done within the fall and spring, we're able to support that. So something to keep in mind when you're thinking about what you can cover out of your own pocket and what you might need financial aid to cover.
But the loan they can, right? Anyone summer they can do loan
Yes.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding financial aid or study abroad? If not, we can start the workshop early. I see Mr. Chu is here already to present you with the essay workshop. Thank you, Ari, for being here with us today. We really appreciate your help.
All right. Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you, Ari.
day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you.
Hi, John. Thank you for being here.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Doing well. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to help out. I absolutely love all the questions that the Gilman Scholarship asks us to work with. And I'm looking forward to talking with everybody right now. So I'm here. My name is John Chu. I'm an instructional aide out of the Skyline College Learning Center. How many people here are out of Skyline College, if I can ask? See one person. Lots of people coming in there. Awesome. I'm totally not biased, but I love Skyline and I've been here. So I work out of Skyline College's Learning Center and I help run and coordinate the writing and reading program and I help run our workshops. And today we're kind of going to be doing a bit of a deep delve into kind of what the writing you're going to be having to do for the Gilman Scholarship looks like. And we're going to be doing a little bit of brainstorming and a little bit of just looking into the questions you have to answer and some successful responses to those questions. So the first thing I want to ask is, this might be a little early on because this was the info session, but where are you right now in the process? Are you in the process, and you can just type in the chat to respond to this, are you in the process of just like starting right now? Or are you just here to listen in and not sure yet? Where are you right now? And I'll give a couple seconds. So just getting started. Learning about it. All right, so we see quite a few people who are just in the process of starting, and that is the best place to be starting the writing process, because we're just beginning to brainstorm. We're just beginning to think about what we actually want to start answering. And the first thing that we want to talk about is what exactly is needed to do this scholarship. So you're going to have 3 things that need to be written. And the first one is what's called a statement of purpose. And we also call those personal statements in a lot of situations. The 2 are used somewhat interchangeably. There's minute differences, but they tend to not really matter that much. And for this specific scholarship, you have a maximum of 7,000 characters, which is roughly 1,500 words with all the spaces and everything. So realistically, that's 2 to 3 pages long, depending on, sometimes 4, depending on the length of your words, all that kind of stuff. But that is the big one. This is kind of where you're introducing you, your desire, who you are, everything along those lines. We'll be getting into that in a moment. The other 2 that are also very important, but shorter, are the minor essays that you're going to be having to complete. The first one is called Building Mutual Understanding, and we'll be going into detail about all three of these and talking about what is needed and reviewing kind of successful versions of these essays. And then the second one is what's called the follow-on service project proposal. That is also limited to 3,000 character, spaces included. These are generally about 1 to 1.5 pages long maximum, and they're just a brief overview of like who you are, and they're answering specific questions. So let's talk a little bit about statements of purpose. Who here has had to write a personal statement before? If you can share out in the chat, or you can unmute and talk. I'm interested who here has actually had experience writing a personal statement or a statement of purpose before. Or as my hand, I've had to write them many times. Okay, I'm seeing a few no's. So I'm glad that we have this section to talk about it. Anyone else? Anyone else written these before? Many times you'll be having to write statements of purpose to like get internships, to get sometimes like enter colleges. There's a lot of similar writing between all these different scenarios. And we're going to be overviewing the 3 core principles that come with a good statement of purpose. So I'll read this little section here out loud. And this is from Northeastern University in their overview of what a personal statement looks like. But a statement of purpose, or sometimes referred to as a personal statement, tells admissions committees who you are, what your academic and professional interests are, and how you'll add value to the program you're applying to. That is the core topic that many times you are wanting to address in your personal statement. It is, to put it in the best way possible, your introduction letter. It is you saying, here's who I am. Here is what I want out of my application and for this project that I'm trying to be a part of. And this is a chance for you to kind of say what's unique about you, what is interesting about you, and kind of what your goals and your core values and what do you bring. And a good statement of purpose has 3 core writing like factors. So while over here is kind of the what a statement of purpose is, these are the 3 kind of stylistic things that you are shooting for when you are writing. Has anyone applied for the UC personal insight questions? I know the application season was last semester for the UCs. Because anyone who has might be familiar with these kind of core tenets. Not yet. I like that growth mindset. All right. So a good statement has clarity, conciseness, and detail. And we're going to be going through 3 different essays that were written by people who won the Gilman Scholarship, who were awarded it, and looking into how they demonstrate these kind of core ideas. We're going to be doing a bit of reading and sharing out in the chat, and then I'll be kind of taking some notes and then kind of compiling it for everybody. So let's look at something regarding clarity. And we have this excerpt from one of the ones that was written. And I'll read this out loud right now. I made the decision of studying abroad because I believe that it is going to benefit me in my personal, professional, and educational goal. As a student, I am trying to go into the field of nursing since that is what I am good at. I am going to use my study abroad experience to help me not only academically, but also professionally. Keep in mind, this is just a small excerpt of the writing. And let's take about 2 minutes. And I want y'all to just think about this writing and what makes it clear. How is clarity shown here? And you can just feel free to type this into the chat as you think. You don't need to wait for the 2 minutes to finish up, but think about how does this section right here show clarity? How is it clear? We got no ambiguity. Perfect. Anyone else? Clear but very personal. Great. Anything else? I'm going because. And I really, really want to highlight that word because. It will help me in this way. Great, Michelle. Anyone else want to add something in there? Very articulate. Great. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of you hit on a really good point here, is that it's not ambiguous. It's very clear with what it's saying. And one of the core things when we're writing in this situation that we operate under is the use of just the word because. Having, and I'm going to edit here 1 second, having a situation where what you're saying is, this is my plan plus because plus how I will achieve it / what it will do for me. This is kind of just a simple sentence structure that tends to work for this kind of writing. And 1 second, I can't see the chat right now. There we go. And so, yeah, what makes this excerpt successful at being clear? It's because it has a lot of the sentence structure, where I want to highlight that first sentence. I made the decision of studying abroad because I believe that it is going to benefit me in my personal, professional, and educational goals. So what this ends up doing is we're being about as clear as possible. What we are basically doing is we're saying, I did this decision and here is the rationale. When doing this kind of writing, that kind of pattern where you say, here's my idea, followed up with, here's how I will build upon that, here's how I will achieve that, here's how I will do anything along those lines, that kind of fulfills that style of writing. And that is kind of writing number 1, like 101 for this kind of personal statement writing where you're doing an application process. This is a style of writing that is useful in pretty much any kind of writing where you have a word maximum. Because I'm gonna be real with you here, is that word maximum is much smaller than you actually think. And I've had many students come up to me when applying for a variety of scholarships, and they're like, oh, I have 500 words, I have so much space. And their initial draft is like at 1,200 words. So clarity in being mindful of how you structure your sentences and almost the grammatical way that you put together your writing is a remarkably important way to writing a very successful personal statement. And I do want to clarify that while I am talking about specifically personal statements here, This style of writing will be used in all of the writing you do for this application process. Does anyone have any questions about clarity before I move on to the next one? All right. Let's talk a little bit about conciseness. And clarity and conciseness tend to go hand in hand with each other. So I'll read this one out loud again. When I arrived, I knew absolutely zero English. I came here on my own without any family or friends, but I was very independent, hardworking, and goal-oriented. I was determined to learn the new life in San Francisco and to learn the American culture. And to do so, I started to learn the new English language. I want you to take a couple minutes again to kind of read through this again and take some time to think about, in what ways is this writing concise? How does this get to the point? How does this say, here's my point in the most effective way possible? Great, Michelle. You have a problem and solution style of writing here where you establish a problem. When I arrived, I knew absolutely zero English. And then you move directly into the solution, that you started to learn it. And Hussam, that's great. I think there's a lot to be said about not talking about what you want, but actually what you've done. And that is a broader point that I was going to get to a bit later on, but I'll talk about it right now, is that having a framework when you're writing that focuses on, here are the things that I have done to achieve my goals, really helps lend credence and lend strength to your writing. Even if you don't think it's much, there's a lot of stuff that we do to work towards our goals. Going to class every day and showing up is a lot, especially in our lives these days where everybody has stuff happening, where everyone's busy. Being a consistent in class is something you've achieved. And so everyone has something that they can say that this is what I have done that shows that I'm good at this. Because if you just give us constant lists of, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, but never saying, what have you done to begin achieving that? It doesn't feel concise. It feels long-winded and drawn out. But if you keep it very close and concrete with, this is my goal, and here's the steps that I've taken to achieve it, this is what it begins to look like. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to this? Action-oriented, great. Anything else? Is there any questions about conciseness before I move on? Conciseness tends to be a topic that just requires practice in writing and getting used to kind of the mechanics of how we write our sentences. And conciseness is never one of those things that is just achieved in your first draft. I can tell you personally, when I've done my writing is always way longer than it ends up being. And what helps me out is by editing. And the way you get concise and clear writing is through taking the steps in editing and going through that core writing process of drafting, editing, editing. So that's another element of conciseness. The final point for personal statements that's pretty important to talk about is detail. So I'll read this out loud again and then take a couple minutes as usual. So there is no education quite like traveling, and I believe studying abroad will help me in furthering my educational journey, becoming a more well-rounded and adaptable person and a nurse to my future patients. With this program, I will not only gain aspect on the culture of Costa Rica, but I will also have an intense and extensive 2 weeks of being exposed to service learning, intercultural communication, and have the ability to meet with groups who are active in social justice issues of the country. Take a couple minutes and same thing here. How does this show detail? How do we actually like work with detail here? Linking how the internship will help me with my original goals. Great. What else? So one of the things that I kind of want to mention here is how the author of this points to very specific things. So in this first section, I believe studying abroad will help me in furthering my educational journey, becoming a more well-rounded and adaptable person and a nurse to my future patients. So the author here very specifically uses the words well-rounded and adaptable, and ties directly to this idea of being a nurse. So one of the important things here is rather than just saying, I believe studying abroad will help me in furthering my educational journey because it'll help me become a nurse. That's boring, right? And that doesn't really say anything about what it will do. This author very clearly says it'll be well-rounded, they'll become well-rounded, and it'll help them become adaptable. And those two traits will carry into them becoming a nurse. Here's another thing, is that when they're talking about where they're traveling, they directly mention the country that they're traveling to and the time. They're being detailed about what will be happening because they've taken the time to actually reflect on what this experience will do to them. Rather than using frames like, with this program, I will be exposed to a culture I've never known, they're able to say that extensive 2 weeks of being exposed to service learning, intercultural communication, and have the ability to meet with groups who are active in social justice issues of the country. Those are 3 very core and clear things that that person will be doing, right? When we're writing these kind of statements, we really want to focus in on having those clear, concrete things that we will be doing. It's very similar to that conciseness because by doing detail well, you will be concise. And by being concise, you will be clear. These 3, while they're very similar, are also very different and interact with each other differently, but build onto each other. Is there any questions about detail? If not, I'm gonna have us write. So Christina, let's see what you got. This will help me sharpen my patience with that will help me in the health field. Great. I'd like to adapt to people who don't speak English as their first language. This will help me, my patients. So that is great. And what is nice with detail here is we can then build upon that. So we have this idea of I'd like to adapt to people. Okay, then the next sentence would be, how will this experience teach you how to adapt? And I'll write this in the chat. Okay, and for the next 5 minutes, what I'm going to ask y'all to do is we've talked about clarity, conciseness, and detail. I'm going to try to shoot for us to get 2 sentences written where we say what we would learn from study abroad. And how, so, and I'll type this in, 2 sentences that answer A, what I will learn when studying abroad, and B, what have I done to make myself a good candidate? So it's 4:14 right now. Let's try to get a little bit of writing done and check back in at 4:20, okay? So we have about 6 minutes just to write 2 sentences, maybe 3 if you're feeling especially like you want to go forward with this, that answers those 2 questions. What will I learn when studying abroad? And what have I done to make myself a good candidate? All right? Don't worry about grammar or proofreading or anything along those lines. Those are always things that get added way later on. We're just trying to get the ideas on the paper right now. And you can feel free to just paste this into the chat whenever you feel comfortable with it, all right? About 1 more minute right now. All right. Does anyone feel comfortable posting what they've written into the chat? If you don't know where, oh, Elaine, great. When studying abroad, I would be learning about new cultures and experiencing different traditions. It would be an incredible opportunity to expand my knowledge and challenge myself, creating lifelong memories. Great. That's what we're looking for because that is clear, that is concise, and that is detailed, but it gives you more that you can develop. So you can go into how exactly it would expand your knowledge. And it gives you the chance to like talk about how this would challenge you. So I think this is great. Anyone else want to put theirs? Oh, great. Awesome. Lots of stuff here. Building remote controlled robots to navigate mazes in high school. My hands-on projects have wired me for engineering success. Studying in Germany means diving deep into an engineering haven where I will have the chance to bring back some of their best ideas on how to build and innovate. Amazing. That's exactly what we're looking for here. With the opportunity to study abroad, not only will I gain valuable life experience, but be immersed in a totally new culture, have the ability to help others I may not normally encounter, but it would truly help me become the best version of myself by learning how to be a more adaptable, patient, flexible. And I do believe it would teach me humility as well as having lifelong gratitude for an opportunity like this. I come from nothing and I'm the first person in my family to go to college and pursue higher education. I'm a full-time student and support myself. This is wonderful. All three of the ones here are just great. And what's nice now is you have something that you can begin working on your personal statement from. These are all perfect things to just begin writing from. I could sit down and I could nitpick and give you feedback on these right now, but that wouldn't help because you have that first nugget that you can begin writing from. And that is generally the hardest part. So this ends the section on personal statements. Does anybody have any quick questions about them before we move on to the other supplementary essays? All right. So let's talk about your second essay that you will be working with, which is called Building Mutual Understanding. So here's an excerpt from the actual website where they talk and where they kind of give us what they're asking. So the Gilman Scholars represent the United States as citizen diplomats in their host communities. They reflect a diversity of values, beliefs, and opinions that is fundamental to providing a balanced representation of the United States abroad. Gilman Scholars are expected to contribute to the goal of building mutual understanding by sharing what it means to be an American, learning about the host culture, and building meaningful relationships. This right here is the prompt that you will begin writing from. And what I want to happen is I want us to do a little bit of a collective brainstorm here. And I want us to think about what does it mean to be an American. And what's important is that this is a very personal thing. Every person interacts with this element of our identity in a different way. And there's no wrong way to think about this. There is no one answer to this question. And that is the point of, of this question. It is asking what it means to you. And when you go to this place you've never been to, how will you learn from the other people? And what will they learn from you about being an American? So in the chat here, I want y'all to take 5-ish minutes to think about this, okay? And you can begin just putting in the chat what you think it means to be an American. What does it mean to you? And what does that mean in general? Because that is an integral part of this question. And keep in mind with this one, you only have about a page and a half. So you're not able to go too remarkably in depth. But that's where clarity, concision, and detail come up, is we want to be as detailed and clear as possible. So let's take 5 minutes to think about this and brainstorm what it means, okay? Let's check back in at 4:30. About 1 more minute. All right. I see one response. Does anybody else want to post what they got in here? Michelle, that's looking wonderful. Great, Elaine. This is what I like, is we're asking this idea of like, what does it mean to be an American? And everyone's going to have a different answer, which is the wonderful thing, is this is a very personal statement in a literal sense, but this is a very personal answer we're giving because it's about our values and what it means to be us. Anyone else want to post theirs? And Hussam, I think it's awesome that in yours there, you're kind of bringing in your career plans and like what your goals are. Because I think that it's an element of our identity and it all is kind of like this intersectional thing that just meshes together. So bringing that and kind of embracing that being an American is similar to being an engineer and those two go hand in hand, I think is a really wonderful response. So I love that. Anyone else want to post something in here? I think these are all wonderful responses, absolutely wonderful responses. And the question that I have is, how do you think we incorporate this into our essay? We have these wonderful statements that have been made here. I'll just share really quickly in the chat. How do we bring this in? How do we write an essay about this? What do you guys think? Because there are three elements to this question, if you remember. That what it means to be an American, how you learn about the host culture, and what it means to build meaningful relationships. So we have this idea kind of put together what it means to be an American. So how can we incorporate this into these other ideas of A, learning about our host culture, and B, building meaningful relationships. How so, Jason? Could you expand on that?
So what ethnicity you come from, what minority, and what genes did you inherit? I'm just trying to figure it out. Give me a second.
No, you're good. I mean, I think everyone will have their own answer to this.
Learning about what your ethnicity group is. Are you Middle Eastern, European, Ashkenazi? There's so many ways to answer that question. It's not as like you could talk about your background. Like it varies where you're gonna be traveling abroad to.
I think that, yeah, I think kind of the intersection of like who you are as a person and like kind of your identity really correlates to like where you're going and how that,
Yeah.
and how do you have a familial relationship to where you're going? Do you not?
Because if it was Europe, as an Ashkenazi Jew, it would be very interesting learning about culture, their culture from my perspective, from my ethnicity groups I come from.
Yeah, so kind of like that, kind of like learning about the people that you're going into and kind of the history about it. That's, yeah, I think that's really important. And I think
because when we look at history, Europe has in history with Jews good and bad. So like,
yeah, and kind of looking at that kind of the history. And I think that's a wonderful thing to kind of write about. And thank you for sharing that. And I think like that's a really important thing about it. Like, how do you interact with these cultures? And how do your interactions teach you stuff? What do you learn and how do you teach? And that kind of also builds into this idea of what it means to build a meaningful relationship. You are going to be representative of people, of the country, but you're also a human being who's going to be alongside other human beings. So what do you do, and how are you going to be building these meaningful relationships with people?
And also for me, if I was applying, I would talk about how my grandpa served and how I would be honoring him by visiting all the memorials, all the historical areas of Europe. So if you appeal it to like wherever you're going.
Yeah, I think all that's really great is kind of this idea of like bringing in your familial tie. But it is important, though, just a word of warning, is that while we can bring in this idea of a familial relationship and kind of our personal background, another one of the important elements is like what this means on the broader concept of being an American.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important. So building off of what you said about your grandfather, you could talk about like your grandfather was in the Army, you said?
Navy.
The Navy. And so by being in the Navy, he was representing the United States. And what does that mean compared to then versus now? And stuff like that. There's areas you can build upon that, but it still is really important, and this is for everybody, to stay grounded in this idea that being an American, that you are a citizen diplomat. And what are the interactions that you have based around those? Are there any questions about this before we move into the final essay? And Michelle, that's great. Like the familiar relationship to where you want to travel. Why do you personally connect to this culture? Or I think you could turn that on its head and say, do you have any connection at all? And what is like the benefit of that? Is there a benefit to going somewhere you have no relationship to at all? Is that something? These are things to kind of expand and think about. And all these kind of lend itself towards building a really strong statement, because this is a chance for us as Americans to reflect and to think about what it actually means that we are this large country full of 50 smaller, very independent places. And there's no one set identity of what it means to be American. So how do you build that identity for yourself? And then how do you show that identity and then bring that to the country that you'll be traveling to? So am I all right to move on to the final one? All right. So the next one is much different than the other one. And this one is quite literally a piece of writing. It's the same amount. I believe it's 700 characters. And the purpose of it is to increase the awareness of study abroad in the Gilman Scholarship. How will you, when you get home from your experience, talk to other people about it? How will you make other people want to apply? How will you make other people want to study abroad? So here's an example from one of the successful essays. I plan to share one second, let me move the chat so I can actually read it. I plan to share my learning experience with the SMCCD community by giving a presentation to all 3 middle college programs. For those that don't know, middle college is a high school program within Skyline, Kenyatta, and CSM. In the beginning of their fall, I will visit all 3 campuses and give a presentation about study abroad, and also show them the YouTube channel, which I will be maintaining through my semester in Barcelona. Additionally, I will maintain a frequent social media account specifically for the study abroad program, which will capture not only my experiences, but also those of my peers. Below is the outline I have come up with for my project. Just after hearing me talk about this, what are your all's thoughts? What do you think about this one? If you keep And what I will say is, if you notice, it keeps up with those ideas of clarity, concision, and detail. They're very detailed about what exactly they will do. And another word of advice with writing is we really want to use terms like I will or I am going to. And we really want to avoid words like I want to, I might. Having a strong and concrete idea of what you are going to do and framing it as the future rather than a potential future makes your writing significantly stronger. So, how does this proposal spread the awareness of the Gilman Scholarship? What do y'all think?
It would vary on how the student would present it. Would it be in video format, vlogs? Because
the blog channel, yes.
yeah, it'd probably be a vlog channel. And like with YouTube and branding and marketing, from what I know, like you would post little clips from social media from your whole video vlog
Mm-hmm.
to each like social media, TikTok, Twitter, showing off the descents and showing family and friends what citizens of that country are like.
So yeah, you're kind of spreading awareness of like your experience. But what happens at the start there, I think, is also really important. That this person planned to give presentations reflecting on this entire experience to the youth, to high schoolers who are entering their college experience. And I think that that's something pretty important to mention, is that they're planning to go to the classrooms and talk to people and talk about their experience, talk about what they learned. And the question that I have is, how do we do that? And the number one thing here is researching, researching, and researching. We want to stay as literate and up to date about what we are talking about as we can, what is going on, and what are the ways to reach out to people. What else can we do in order to get people interested and aware of the Gilman Scholarship? Because it is an amazing opportunity. Being able to have a lot of funding put towards your traveling is something that is phenomenal. And making people more aware of it, what can we do? You can type in the chat for this. Great one, Hassan. Like writing a blog. Michelle, great. Asking your high school if you could come and present about it. That would be wonderful. Kelly, a quick question. Is the Gilman Scholarship available to all college students, or is it just for community college?
Hi, John. The Gilman Scholarship is available to all the college students who are currently eligible or receiving Pell Grant.
There we go. So,
U.S. citizen only.
yeah, that is a big thing to mention here, is that the reason I ask that is if you go to a high school, you're going to have people who are going to colleges all across the country. And this is going to be something, as long as they're eligible, they can apply to. So yeah, going to a high school would be perfect. And writing in, I think it's Skyline Shines, yeah, kind of sharing your experience, all that is wonderful. Do we have any other questions? If not, thank you. But I do want to steal a couple more minutes of your time to talk about the Learning Center at Skyline College and how we're able to help you out. So if you are a Skyline College student, all you have to do is go to skylinecollege.edu/learning center. And you'll be able to see everything that we offer. And if you click on tutoring, you'll be able to actually just sign into tutoring right here. So that's all you got to do, is just sign in, and it'll take you to your one login where you will go. And you'll see the writing and reading and ESOL schedule for the tutors for everything. That is if you are a Skyline student. If you are not a Skyline student, what I will ask for you to do is email me, and I'm going to give you my email in the chat. I will do that, and I will ask, and I will help you set up an appointment for you to work with a student, because you wouldn't be able to work with one of our tutors on your scholarship statements. And we'll get you an account and an appointment set up. So either one works, and you can always reach out to me, which is chuj@smccd.edu, for any kind of help regarding the writing and kind of the process about that. While I don't personally tutor, I can help connect you to all of our tutors who are incredibly qualified for scholarship writing and scholarship statements like this. Well, thank you all so much for having me. And is there any questions that I can answer before we call it, at least for this workshop? Is there anything I can do? So does Skyline? Yes, Skyline College does tutor scholarships. All of our tutors have been trained in working with scholarships, and a lot of the stuff that I was talking about of the clarity, the concision, and the detail, they've been trained and they've worked extensively with many people on how to work with and how to help develop that in your writing. And I recommend, if you do choose to get tutoring, doing it early and doing it repetitively, because that is what helps build a really successful and really well-written statement. Are there any other questions?
Well, thank you so much, John, for this wonderful presentation. I've learned so much from you, how to write a good essay and a personal statement and everything. I hope you all gained valuable knowledge from John. And again, contact John if you have questions. Go to Skyline Learning Center website. I will also send the information to you by email after this meeting. And thank you all for joining us today. And again, if you have questions, email us, call us. You have our contact information. And let us know you have any final questions.